The year is 1945. The Second World War, the deadliest conflict in human history, has just ended. Amid the ashes, a new world order is emerging, and at its center stands the United States of America. America is now the most powerful country on the planet. Its currency, the dollar, the new global standard, and in this new era, one American bank has ascended to the pinnacle of the financial world, becoming the largest private bank on earth. Bank of America. Today, Bank of America is a household name, a titan of the industry managing trillions in assets and serving over 68 million customers from Main Street to Wall Street and beyond. But behind this colossal empire is the story of one man, a financial visionary of the most unlikely origin. An Italian immigrant named Amadeo Giannini. For Giannini, banking wasn't just about numbers. It was a high-stakes game. A game of confidence. A game of loans. A game where he rewrote the rules. Giannini's journey began far from the glittering world of finance. His father, Luigi, was a classic American dreamer. Lured by the promise of the California gold rush, he arrived in America and quickly built a successful life. Not by panning for gold, but through sheer grit and business acumen. Luigi became a prosperous landowner, buying up properties and hotels, often renting them to fellow Italian immigrants looking for their own start. He was a natural entrepreneur, making his first fortune in fishing, farming, and winemaking. He poured his savings into renting and renovating a house, transforming it into the Swiss Hotel, a vital hub for Italian day laborers. The family was thriving, but this peaceful, prosperous life was shattered in an instant. When Amadeo was just 7 years old, a brutal labor dispute ended in tragedy. His father was shot and killed. This horrific event thrust young Amadeo into a world of adult responsibility overnight. Psychologists sometimes call this phenomenon post-traumatic growth, the idea that profound hardship can forge an even stronger sense of maturity and purpose. For Giannini, this was certainly the case. His mother, Virginia, was now a young widow with 3 children. Showing incredible resilience, she stepped into her late husband's shoes, taking charge of the family farm. It was here, working alongside his mother, that Giannini learned the true value of hard work. He developed an iron discipline, waking up before dawn to help sell produce. These early mornings weren't just chores. They were his first lessons in commerce, supply, and demand. He was getting a real-world business education before most kids his age had even thought about a career. Life took another turn when Virginia remarried another Italian immigrant. Lorenzo Scatina took over the family's burgeoning produce business, and Giannini, with his sharp mind for numbers, naturally fell into the role of bookkeeper. It didn't take long for his innate business talent to shine. By the tender age of 14, he was already handling the complex logistics of the family's wholesale grocery business. B21. He wasn't just helping out, he was running the show, taking full control and driving the business to unprecedented profits. He had a natural feel for the market, an instinct for what people needed and how to deliver it. Then, at just 31 years old, Giannini did something that stunned everyone who knew him. He retired. He sold his half-share in the successful produce business to his employees and walked away. Why? Because Giannini saw a bigger picture. The early 20th century was a time of explosive growth in the San Francisco Bay Area. Shipyards and factories were humming, and people were pouring into the city, fueling an economic boom. Giannini understood that at the very heart of this expansion were 2 key industries: real estate and banking. To get into that game, he needed 2 things: capital, which he now had, and an opportunity. That opportunity came when his father-in-law passed away, leaving him a seat on the board of a small local bank called Columbus Savings and Loan. This was a bank that served the established, wealthier members of the community. But Giannini immediately saw a massive, untapped market. The thousands of working-class immigrants who were being completely ignored by the traditional banking system. These were the fishermen, the laborers, the small shopkeepers, people like his own family. Banks saw them as too risky, too poor to be worthwhile customers. Giannini saw them as the future. He tried to convince his fellow board members to start offering small loans to these hardworking immigrants. He argued that they were reliable, driven, and desperately needed access to capital to build their own American dreams. The board flatly refused. They were stuck in their old ways, unwilling to take a chance on the little guy. Frustrated, but undeterred, Giannini decided if they wouldn't change the bank, he would build a new one. In 1904, in a converted saloon, Amadeo Giannini opened the Bank of Italy. His mission was simple, but revolutionary: to be the bank for the common man. The sign on the door might as well have said, "All are welcome." He actively sought out the customers other banks rejected. He offered services in different languages and kept his bank open at hours that suited working people, not just bankers. He didn't just wait for customers to come to him. He went out into the community, building relationships based on trust and a handshake. This radical approach was an instant success. The working-class immigrants of San Francisco flocked to his bank. They finally had a place that understood them, that believed in them, and that was willing to lend them the money to buy a home, start a business, or simply get through a tough time. Giannini wasn't just their banker. He was their partner. Then, in 1906, disaster struck. A massive earthquake, followed by a devastating fire, leveled San Francisco. The city was in ruins. Other banks, with their vaults buried under smoldering rubble, shut their doors, unable to access their funds. But Giannini, with incredible foresight, had acted fast. In the chaos following the quake, he'd loaded his bank's gold, coins, and records onto a horse-drawn wagon disguised as a vegetable cart and spirited them out of the burning city to the safety of his home. While other bankers waited for their vaults to cool, Giannini set up a makeshift bank on the docks. He used a plank of wood laid over 2 barrels as his desk and began lending money to those who needed it most to rebuild. He didn't ask for collateral in the traditional sense. His collateral was a man's reputation, a calloused hand, and a look in the eye. He was lending on faith, and his faith was repaid 1,000 times over. He became a hero, the man who helped rebuild San Francisco from the ashes. The earthquake was a turning point. It cemented Giannini's reputation and proved the power of his community-focused banking model. His Bank of Italy grew exponentially. He was a pioneer of branch banking, opening new locations across California so that more communities could access his services. He wanted to create a banking system that served everyone, not just the wealthy elite in big cities. He renamed his bank Bank of America, a name that reflected his grand vision of a bank for all of the stability of his Giannini's impact expanded into Los Angeles and beyond, creating a network of branches in cities like Chicago. But to truly build his banking empire, Giannini had his eyes set on one city: New York. However, New York was already dominated by J.P. Morgan Jr., the titan of Wall Street. Giannini needed to break into the city, so he acquired the struggling Bank of America at 44 Wall Street and merged it with others to form the Bank of American National Association, making it the 3rd largest bank in New York. But this rapid expansion didn't sit well with J.P. Morgan Jr., who launched a smear campaign to crush Giannini's stocks. Giannini fought back, founding Transamerica Corporation to consolidate his empire. He was determined to make a mark in New York and beyond. Despite Morgan's resistance, Giannini's influence continued to grow. The stock market crash of 1929 hit hard, but Giannini's bank weathered the storm. He turned setbacks into opportunities, becoming one of the most prosperous banks in America. However, in the 1930s, he faced internal conflicts at Transamerica, and despite his efforts, he was forced to resign. But Giannini wasn't done yet. In the 1940s, after World War II, Bank of America had become the largest commercial bank in the world. Giannini retired, living modestly, and donated half of his fortune to education and research. In 1949, at 79 y passed away. His funeral was attended by over 2,500 people, a testament to his impact on American society. Through his career, Giannini built a bank for the common people. His legacy continued to shape the financial landscape, even after his death. In the decades that followed, Bank of America continued to innovate, introducing credit cards, expanding internationally, and navigating economic crises. But by the 1980s, competitors like Citibank and Sandy, while at First Interstate, posed new threats to the banking industry. In the 1990s, as Citigroup merged with Travelers Group to form the largest financial institution, Bank of America was forced to evolve. It embraced new technologies like ATMs and pursued mergers to stay competitive. In 2008, the financial crisis hit, and Bank of America faced massive losses. However, It survived, thanks in part to government bailouts. In the 2010s, under CEO Brian Moynihan, the bank focused on recovery and digital transformation. Despite challenges, it remains a dominant financial institution. Today, Bank of America continues to evolve, focusing on innovation, sustainability, and customer trust. It serves millions worldwide, but the story of its rise from a small immigrant-founded bank to a global powerhouse is a testament to the vision and resilience of Amadeo Giannini. Giannini's impact went far beyond just personal finance. He was an innovator who financed entire industries that others were too cautious to touch. When the fledgling film industry came to him for loans, other bankers scoffed. They saw movies as a passing fad. Giannini saw the future of entertainment. He funded Charlie Chaplin's early films and, most famously, took a huge gamble on a young animator named Walt Disney, providing the financing for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. When every other bank had turned him down, he financed the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, a project so ambitious many thought it was impossible. He supported California's wine and agricultural industries, turning the state into a global powerhouse. Giannini wasn't just a banker. He was a builder of dreams, a catalyst for innovation. He understood that when you provide people with capital, you unleash their potential. By the time of his death in it's a quintessential American story. It's a story about seeing value where others see risk, about having faith in the potential of ordinary people, and about understanding that true wealth isn't just measured in dollars, but in the communities you build and the dreams you help make possible. He proved that a bank could be both powerful and personal, profitable and principled, and that legacy continues to shape the world of finance to this day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the lives of history's greatest innovators. See you next time.